Good day, class. In this video, we are going to continue the discussion on the flavors. In the previous videos, we have introduced the different flavors of herbs. The question here is how to determine the flavors. Firstly, according to the taste and smell. For example, 黄连. 黄连 has a bitter taste. So when you taste 黄连, it is bitter. So the flavor of 黄连 is bitter. The flavors also can be determined according to the response of the human body after taking the herbs. For example, 麻黄. 麻黄 has the function to dispel bacterial pathogens, and also many patients after taking 麻黄, they will sweat. So this kind of function or this kind of results can be categorized into dispersing. Then we said 麻黄 has the function of pungent. So that's from the response and then the flavor, or from the taste directly. This is 麻黄, this one is 黄连. And when we put the different flavors into yin and yang categories, yang, pungent and sweet, are in the category of yang, sour, bitter, and salty are in the category of yin. When you see in this way, if a patient suffers from a yang syndrome, such as the dryness, the heat syndrome, then you can find some herbs in the yin category. So you're going to find some sour, bitter, or salty herb to help the syndrome. A patient suffers from yin syndrome, you're also going to use yang herb, pungent, sweet, to assist the yin syndrome, such as the patient suffers from internal coldness, diarrhea, cold hands, cold limbs, cold feet, headache due to the internal coldness. Then we can use the pungent herbs or the sweet herbs to assist. So that's how to choose from yin and yang. The flavors also related to the 5 elements. When you compare the flavors, the 5 elements, and 脏腑 organs, you will see these different flavors. They related to different elements and different organs, which means the sour flavor can go to the liver. So if a patient suffers from the liver problem, for instance, a patient suffers from depression or irritation due to liver stagnation, then we can use a herb with a sour flavor to assist. And then in future, when we talk about the processing of the herbal medicine, we also can use this flavor to assist. For instance, again with the liver problem, a patient suffers from depression, suffers from the emotion problem due to liver qi stagnation. Then we can use 香附. 香附 is another herb that can activate the qi and blood circulation, but this patient suffers from the liver problems. So we want these herbs, to assist the liver problem specifically. How can we process the 香附? So we're going to stir fry the 香附, one of the processing methods, and then we can add some vinegar. Vinegar is sour. The taste of the vinegar is sour. So we can use the 香附. We can stir fry the 香附 with vinegar. So this 香附, after processing with vinegar, it will go to the liver more specifically. A patient suffers from the heart problem or irritation or palpitation, then we can use some bitter taste herbs because the bitter related to the heart. The spleen patients suffer from qi and blood deficiency, suffer from poor digestive system, poor appetite, lose stool due to spleen yang deficiency, then we will use something sweet. Some patients suffer from lungs problem. Some patients suffer from spontaneous sweating because the lung in charge of the superficial. Then we can use pungent. Patients suffer from kidney problem. We also can use something salty, or we use the salt or the salty water to process the herbs, to make the herbs go to the kidney specifically. So that's the application of the 5 elements. Also, from the 5 elements, we also can use the different relationship, the mother and son, the wood and the earth, how to use the sweet herb to help the liver, how to use the salty herb to help the heart. So that's the relationship among the 5 elements. If you can't remember this session, you can revise the session in a basic theory when we talk about the 5 elements. The next topic, the combination of natures and flavors. Some herbs have the same nature but with different flavors. This will result them have a very different function. For example, huanglian, we have mentioned that huanglian is one of the most bitter taste or the most bitter herbs. Bitter and cold. Bitter can dry, can use for dampness, so it can be used for damp heat. Fuping is cold and pungent. Pungent can disperse, can use for wind heat, can disperse wind because it can clear heat. So it can be used, both of them can be used in a heat syndrome. Because they are cold, so they can clear heat, and then they can be used in a heat syndrome. Because they got different flavors. They got bitter flavor. Bitter flavor can dry dampness, so you can use for dampness and heat, damp heat syndrome. Because Fuping has the flavor of pungent. Pungent can disperse. When you combine with the dispersing and heat syndrome, it can result in wind heat. So Fuping can use for wind heat. For example, the patient suffer from flu or common cold or coughing due to wind heat, then you can use Fuping. A patient suffer from diarrhea, especially have the heavy sensation in the anus. That's due to damp heat. Then we can use huanglian. So although these 2 herbs have the same nature, but because of the different flavors, they have different function, and we will use them in different situations. There's another situation which the herbs share the same flavor, but with different natures. For example, huangqi. Huangqi is quite a famous herb. That's, I think, you also use in homeopathy. Astragalus, huangqi, the property of huangqi, warm and sweet. Warm and sweet can tonify, and when you warm can tonify qi. Maidong, another herb. So the bottom one is maidong. Maidong is cold and sweet. Cold and sweet and also can tonify. So maidong can tonify yin, huangqi can tonify qi. While these 2 herbs can tonify different aspects, qi and yin, these 2 are actually in different category. Qi is in the yang category because we cannot see the qi. Something formless is yang, something formed is yin. So huang qi can tonify qi, mai dong can tonify yin, which will result in the different application of huang qi and mai dong. For example, a patient suffers from qi deficiency, especially from the fatigue, lassitude, tiredness, and they don't want to move. After all these symptoms will be worsened after exercise. These are from the qi deficiency. Then we can use huang qi. A patient suffers from yin deficiency. For instance, a patient suffers from hot flashes, hot feverish sensations in the palms and under the soles, or the patient suffers from thirsty, constipation, dry cough is due to yin deficiency or lack of yin fluid. Then we can use mai dong in this situation. So that's because although they share the same flavor, sweet, that's because of the different nature. One is warm, one is cold. They will have very different actions. And also huang qi, because of warm, you can use in a cold syndrome. Mai dong, because of cold, you can use in a heat syndrome. Thank you for your attention.